Comic Book Savant Extra, trade your pick, Hulk Gray. Welcome back to the Comic Book Savant Extra podcast. This is the reintroduction of the Trade Your Pick episodes. For those of you that are not longtime listeners of the podcast, and this is a relatively new concept to you, this is something that I kicked off the show with, which was my special kind of gimmick when I started the podcast 13 and a half years ago. I was by all my mentors, they said, you need to have a hook, something to bring people back to. So I came up with this concept because I was always big on community interaction. And that's how I even got into podcasting, by being in the message boards for Comic Geek Speak and interacting on the message boards and meeting people, and then having my own message board through them. Once I first started podcasting is really where I met my community, met listeners, and built up a community and people that have become longtime friends. I speak about it all the time, that, that's how I met Heath, which, we do Spinner Rack Bros, and we've known each other for over a decade at this point. We went from just knowing each other online to we met at a convention, we've met in person, and he's, someone that is just close to me as family. And I have other people that have become family to me just like him that I met through the community. So I always thought, one of the, biggest premises around the whole concept of the podcast and what I wanted to do was community and them being able to interact. But with most things over time, it kind of falls to the wayside. I didn't get the amount of community participation in it. It was something after a while that this kind of phased out, and I still did reviews of trade paperbacks and, of course, comics and stuff. But the novelty of the idea, the concept of Trade Your Pick never blossomed and took off like I originally intended or wanted it to. So I decided, like I said, I put it up because I was all, with the whole Patreon campaign and how everything is set up, I just want to keep coming up with fresh and inventive ways to bring you different kind of content for your support, to give you something kind of, different. And it was, so I decided to be like, hey, I, proposed it to you guys in a poll. You guys voted on it. So I thought it would be something cool to bring back. And, you guys are my diehard supporters and fans. So I figured, if you wanted it, it would be something I would take the time to do. And that's kind of where the whole concept of me bringing back the whole idea of doing the Trade Your Pick episodes came from. Now the biggest thing going forward, I put a poll up, I didn't get any response from it, so I'll address it in this episode. Now I could do it as it's just a book of the month club kind of concept, where I just name what book we're going to be reading for the month, and you guys have an opportunity to read along, and you can, forward any emails or anything like that to me, comments you want me to include in the episode, or even short audio clips, like I said, anywhere from the 3 to 5 minute range that I can include into the episode. That's how I used to do it when I originally did it, and I would like to bring that back, but that's only if that's something that you guys feel comfortable with, or like I said, even if you don't want to record an audio clip, it's something where if you just shoot me an email, I can read your thoughts about the book, via the episode as well, one or the other. But I would like participation from you guys, in it. If you're reading along, or if you just want to know my thoughts, that's fine as well. But I will post monthly polls up. But if you don't like the monthly polls, or you don't participate in the monthly polls, I'll just switch it over to where I just pick a particular book. I'll let you guys know the beginning of each month, the end of that month, going into the month, and I will do say it'll be the final week of the month, or when the episode drops for that month. Because what my thought about it is that I would do the Trade Your Pick episodes that last Thursday of the month. Since I release the Comic Books Savant Extra podcast on the Thursday of each week, it would be the final Thursday of each month. I would release the episode. So it would give you guys time to vote on what's going to be available for the next month to read, or it gives me enough time to select something and give you guys time to see if you have it in your collection, or if you want to pick it up to do so, to read along. Because again, the whole basis of this is for community participation. So that's my hopes. But you guys can let me know how we can tweak it as we go along. This is just the first episode, and the book we're starting out with is Hulk Gray. Hulk Gray is published by Marvel Comics. It retails roughly for around $13.99. It's written by Jeph Loeb, and the artwork's done by Tim Sale. The colors are done by Matt Hollingsworth. Lettering's done by Richard Starkins, and it collects Hulk Gray issues 1 through 6. The breakdown is as follows. Examine a new detail in the earliest days of the Incredible Hulk as Dr. Bruce Banner makes his first transformations into the brutish alter ego. Relationships that will influence his life and the life of the Hulk are forged and destroyed. And, you know, I am a huge fan, and I've talked about this numerous times, of the collaborations between Jeph Loeb and Tim Sale. As I read them, I'm a huge Batman fan, so I came in reading their Long Halloween, Dark Victory. Then I went back and I read Superman for All Seasons. Then they start doing the Marvel colored books. So they did Daredevil Yellow, Spider-Man Blue, Hulk Gray, Captain America White. And then they had some collaborations before they started the color books. They did a Wolverine and Gambit miniseries called Victims along the way, and they did Challengers of the Unknown very early over on DC before they got into the Batman stuff. So they've collaborated on both major companies with their collaborations, and I feel like when they come together and they collab on a book like this, it's a special occasion. It had been a while, and I can't remember if I had ever read Hulk Gray before, or was always on my list to read, or I just read it so long ago I couldn't remember, so I wasn't sure. So it was cool that this was picked because it gave me a chance to revisit it. And I had a chance in Heroes Con in Charlotte, North Carolina. I can't remember how many years ago it's been now. I had a chance to meet Tim Sale and actually talk to him for a few minutes, which was a great thing because he signed my copy of the Long Halloween. Was it Long Halloween or Dark Victory? One or the other. I still had my trade paperback of it, and I had him sign it. And it was just a really cool experience to meet him because I admired his artwork so much and loved it so much to talk to him just for a minute while he was signing my book. And he was just so cool. And the thing I think I love most about these collaborations is that they're so soulful. They make you feel something. And I don't know, like, it's invoked by the tone given by, the name, especially for the Marvel books, where it's Hulk Gray, is, Spider-Man Blue, Daredevil Yellow, Captain America White. Like, it's meant to evoke an emotion with that color or not, but you always feel something, even with the DC collaborations, like Superman for All Seasons. I'm not a Superman fan, but it is my favorite, by far, Superman story of all time. The way they do it in the heart and consideration and the time they put into these collaborations that they put out are just outstanding, and they're second to none. And these are like modern day classics. And, I get on my perch to talk about them because I feel like they can be things that will fall to the wayside. With so many comics coming out now, you kind of have to know your history and where things come from and where things are influenced and what could be classics. You don't hear about them as much as you should anymore, but you should. They're such good books and are held to such a high standard that they need to be remembered and passed along. These are classics, beyond none. But talking about Hulk Gray in particular, this is just a great collaborative work. This team, like I said, is the whole team here. They all work together on all the stuff they do. So it's top-notch creative teams from top to bottom, from the writer all the way down to the letterer. They've done all these together, and they're always amazing, amazing quality. I can't say enough about Tim Sale. I feel like he's one of my favorite artists in my top probably 10, definitely my top 20. It probably would be in my top 10 for sure. I wish I could have more of his artwork outside of these collaborations, but normally if he doesn't really, and he'll say like if he's not working with Jeph Loeb, he's good. He's done a few things here and there, but his heart is just working with Jeph. They just have a certain kind of connection, and the work that they put out is just second to none. And with Jeph being on the TV side now, and he's outside of comics, I don't know when we'll get another one. I think Captain America White was officially the last collab that they did, and we don't know what else. Like, gosh, what? I can't remember how many years ago now, like 3 or 4 years ago. And, it had been, a big gap of time in between there, between the one before. So, we don't know if we'll ever get another collaboration. But I did see an interview on YouTube that Tim said that, he was like, he would love to do another one if Jeph ever decided he wanted to come back to comics. And he had something that he wanted him to work on, them to collaborate with, together. Like Tim said, he's all good to do it, but Jeph is, outside of the comics, business now. And so he doesn't see it happening, though he would like for it to happen. So, we only have these books to go back to pinpoint and enjoy in the interim. The story is such a heartbreaking story about, I think the emotion that I feel most in reading this is guilt and regret. Bruce is struggling and he's going back, talking about his story to Doc Samson, and he's going through different parts and beats of the early days, the first, few days of him turning into the Hulk and saving Rick Jones, and, the suffering that it caused Betty, how it affected so many lives, Rick's life, him risking his life and becoming this monster for, trying to save, a kid that didn't know any better. But then he has to suffer this tremendous burden of being this, monster within the Hulk, and trying to deal with that. And it tears him from the woman he loves and Betty. It takes him from his job. It creates even more tension between him and Thunderbolt Ross, which is the father of his love. So you really feel that that line, that plot point, or that emotion just carry heavily throughout the 6 issues of, regret, pain, and guilt. And you understand it. They set that up in the flashbacks and the memories that he's having. Some, that he's telling to people for the first time. It's a very sad scene where Hulk is, he's getting accustomed to being Hulk, and he sees a bunny, and, he's gray like the Hulk is, and he's trying to pet him on the head, and he, by accident, crushes the bunny's head and kills him. And just like how sad, because the Hulk already feels alone and he thought he had a friend, and just by petting him, trying to show some emotion, that he accidentally kills the bunny. It's like very heart-wrenching stuff, and that's why I love their collaborations, because they make you feel something. Everything has to be nonstop action, but it's well picked, placed action. We get a little cameo by young Tony Stark in the original Iron Man armor in there. It's just super well done across the board. And, It was something to behold and enjoy in all of their collaborations. And, if I don't stress anything enough in this talk that we're doing, is that if this is your first introduction to Jeph Loeb and Tim Sale, just pick any one of their other collaborations and just read them and check them out. I'll have affiliate links in the posting for this episode where Brittany turned me on to. She brought, I didn't even know this omnibus existed. They have a Jeph Loeb and Tim Sale yellow, blue, gray, white omnibus that has the Marvel colored stories all in the omnibus. I'll have a link to that. They also have, she also picked up the Batman by Jeph Loeb and Tim Sale Batman omnibus that has all their stuff. So I think that collects Batman Long Halloween, Batman Dark Victory, Catwoman When in Rome, and I don't know if Batman Haunted Night is in there as well, but some other little collaborations they did in DC, them together, like in one-shots and things like that. All of that is collected in there, but I don't know if for sure if Haunted Night is in there or not. But it's pretty much, I think, all their Batman DC stuff. Then you can get separately Superman for All Seasons, Wolverine and Gambit Victims you can find. I found it digitally, like on sale, like some months ago for like $2 or something, like $2.50. I got that trade. Challengers of the Unknown has been the hardest thing to find. Even when I was collecting physical comics, I tried to find it and it was always out of print. I do have an affiliate link that I'll share that they have a hardcover of it that has some copies on Amazon that you can pick up if you want to check it out. That's been the most elusive one for me to find because I had all the other ones except for the Wolverine Gambit, but now it's available digitally. Challenge of the Unknown I don't think has ever been available digitally. All the other stuff you can pretty much find through like Comixology. Most of the story, especially the colored Marvel stories, you can find on Comixology Unlimited that you can, if you subscribe, you can check those out and read those for free. The Batman stuff, you might have to buy that if you're going to go the digital route. Maybe Long Halloween, I think you could check out for free on Comixology Unlimited. But DC just came over to Comixology Unlimited, so their library is kind of limited at this point. So you might have to buy those. But the Marvel stuff, most of it, you can pretty much, if you're subscribed, you can check that stuff out, read it as a part of your subscription. So you definitely owe yourself a chore to do that. But if you want physical copies, I'll have the links, because there's something, if you're into collecting physical comics, that you would want to have in your collection for sure. But just closing this out, I just have to say, like I said, their work is so impactful. It touches me in a certain way because it's something when I read, it evokes an emotion from me. Like I said, in this, it's sorrow, sadness, regret, guilt that you feel throughout. And like I said, with the different stories makes, like I said, invokes different emotions, but it's rare that, in a comic book, certain times, like you read it for entertainment, but it doesn't hit you. It's rare for a comic book to evoke such strong emotions like their work does. And their work always have done that for me. And I think that's what has always pulled me and attracted me to their work, is that because you know that it was love and care put behind every letter chose, every pencil stroke, that there was thought and care put behind it, and it shines through on the finished page. So definitely worth your time, worth your money to pick up and read, invest in for sure. For me, I gave it a must buy, a 10 out of 10. I thoroughly enjoyed the story, would read it again. Like I've read, their other collaborations multiple times, like Long Halloween and Superman for All Seasons and Dark Victory. I've read them over and over again. This is one of those I would include in that. But that's all I really have to say about it. Again, this is, the inaugural, if I can say that right, or relaunching of the Trade Your Pick episodes. So there will be more coming down the road. Like I said, like I spoke about at the beginning of the episode, you guys let me know how you want to move forward with it, and how we do it is just I name a book and we roll with that, or I put up a poll and you guys vote for that. One or the other. You let me know how you want to handle it. You can just, post your comments on this episode on the Patreon posting for the episode. And that's all I really have for you guys for this episode. I hope you read the book along with me, or you've read it recently and you've enjoyed it and enjoyed it as much as I did. If you have any comments and you didn't send them in for the episode, but I would like to hear what you thought about the book if you have read it. So just leave a comment on the post for the episode, because I definitely like to read and hear what you guys have to think about Halt Gray. And I will see you guys next month for the next episode of Trade Your Pick. I'm your host, James Harris. This is the Comic Books of My Extra podcast, and I will see you next time. Until then, you guys stay safe and take care.